Hey guys, it's Aaron back with another review, and today I'm talking about Dahmer episode 4. So, in this one, we started off with Dahmer. Basically, we're looking back at him more in a teenage year, going into adulthood, and just different things like that. And we start off with it shows him, like I said, he starts off in a teenage year, and his mom ends up leaving. With his brother and just leaves. And so he's left at the house by himself for, I think they say, 3 months, and he's just drinking, hardly going to school at all. And then if he is going to school, he's failing. But we see him sneak into a yearbook committee thing, and he sneaks in to get his picture with the honor society, even though, of course, he's not really in there. I think it was just to fool his dad. And then when they find out, they shred his picture and they put it in as is with the blackened face because they don't have time to fix it. But um, yeah, we definitely see in this one he's kind of trying to, I think, fool his dad into really being kind of, you know, not who he is, of course. And then we actually see whenever his dad comes and he brings his girlfriend who is played by Molly Ringwald, and I didn't know it was her at all. I had no clue. She looks great, but it doesn't look like Molly Ringwald. It's crazy. So he brings her to meet him, and then, of course, that's when they find out that the mom left him alone the whole time, and he's been gone. He's just been drinking and all that, and his dad, of course, is furious because they go to dinner and talk about it, and he is, like, look, I don't really know what your options are anymore. And he's like, you're going to have to go to community college. And he's like, yeah, but that's for failures. And he's like, well, that might be where we are right now. So he goes to community college, and we find out that he, once again, is just failing and all that. So then he doesn't go to class, and he's drinking all day. And then whenever the dean brings it up to his dad, finds out his grades, like same thing. It's like a 0 point whatever. And then he gets kicked out of school. So then his dad furiously says, you're going to the army. And so he goes to the army to train as a medical specialist, and he's doing well. He's really learning things, and he's understanding all this stuff. And but we start seeing the little seeds about Jeffrey Dahmer, and he is learning all these different drugs, and he's asking questions about, like, what does this do? What does this do? What does this do? And this is where we see the beginning of him starting to definitely experiment and see what they do. And so I'm sorry, I want to go back real quick. Whenever he's trying to, whenever he's having the meeting with his dad and his stepmom, we see him start to get, this is like the one time I really I don't like how the father was. And I mean, I get it. It's not necessarily something you want to have the conversation, but he blows it off, and he's asking him, he's like, well, basically, what the hell is going on? And Dahmer tries to explain to him, his proclivities about, like, well, I'm not normal. And he's starting to kind of open up about who he is inside. And his dad, the second he starts, he's like, is this sex stuff? And he's like, well, that's part of it. And then he just is like, no, 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 nope, nope, nope. And that's when he's like, we'll get you into Ohio State. Fast forward to where I was talking earlier. And he, like I said, he's in the army, and he's learning about all these different drugs and what they do. And that's, of course, what's fascinating him. He's going as a medical specialist, and he's learning about all this stuff. Well, one night he sneaks into where they keep all the drugs and different things like that, provisions wise. And he takes a bunch of, I don't remember what it was, but he takes a bunch of basically sleeping pills, and he drugs one of his fellow cadets and molests him. And he gets kicked out of the army, of course. And his dad is furious, and he sends him to his grandma's house, and he's like, you're strict, super strict. You're not drinking. You're not blah, 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 you're getting a job, blah, blah, blah. So then he goes, he gets a job at a butcher, and he grows out his mustache. And this is where I think he looks the most like Dahmer as the actual person. He really, if you look at pictures of Jeffrey Dahmer at this period of time and look at Evan Peters' portrayal of him, it's absolute, like, it's uncanny how much they look alike, especially just sometimes when he's just sitting there not saying anything, and he just has the looks. It's very, yeah. So then he gets he goes, and when he's looking for work, he goes into a shopping mall and he's getting clothes for work, and he sees this new uh, suit that he wants to get, but then he gets fascinated by the mannequin, so he stays in the store in the changing area, sneaks out when it's closed, steals the mannequin and brings it home with him, and he goes later on. He goes to the state fair, um, and he has a vision of the hitchhiker that he keeps seeing on his route home, and he just openly masturbates in public, and of course he gets booked and arrested, and he gets fired from his job, the butchery, once his boss finds out what happened, and then he gets a job um, at a clinic drawing blood, and we see him steal some of the blood that he's taking, and he just takes shots of it when he gets home, and he just looks like a vampire. I mean, it's a very, you can, I mean, everyone I think knows what blood tastes like, if you've had a little bit, and just imagining, I can't imagine they used real blood, but whatever they did use, I'm sure was as close to substance as they could get, and you just, when you see him doing it. So it was a real dedication on Evan Peters' part to really make it look um, real, and it did. So yeah, and the thing is too, whose blood is it? It's like I'm sure he doesn't even know. So it's like, this is like AIDS Central area and time period. So I mean, it's a wonder he didn't get AIDS. I mean, uh, anyway, but he goes out to a gay bar later, and then he kind of discovers the bathhouse, place, and he kind of gets into that life, and he sees a bunch of naked guys and everything, and there is full frontal for all the people that are interested in that. You get to see bunch of man penis in that scene. But he goes, so he starts getting into the bathhouse routine. He goes and finds guys at the bars, and he goes, and then uh, he he for some reason breaks all his drugs up. He crushes them up at the bar. And I don't know if I don't know if anybody, I don't know if we're supposed to believe that nobody saw him, or the people that did see him thought it was like cocaine or something, like a party drug as opposed to a drug, where they're, whatever. But anyway, he once we see the owner calling the ambulance in, and he's like, look, it's the same guy that does it every time, and then he kicks him out. And then when Dahmer comes in the next day, he's like, no, you're banned. He's like, and I've put a note out to all the other bathhouses, you're blacklisted, so like get lost. So then now he has to figure out what he's going to do, and he has to pay for like seedy hotel rooms for the night and different things like that. But he does manage to drug a guy. He manages to get a guy home with him, and he ends up drugging him, and he blacks out at some point, and he wakes up to find out that the guy has had his chest caved in, and he freaks out, and he tries to revive him and everything. And then when he realizes it's not going to happen, he goes and gets a suitcase and stuffs him in the suitcase, and takes the suitcase back home. And then he waits for his grandma to go to church, and it's when grandma goes to pray, Dahmer will play, haha. But he that's what he does. And so he when she leaves, he goes and um, figures out, he cuts up the bodies and crushes the bones and everything like that. And that's something they talk about in the beginning of the episode. And we're seeing that, kind of the crime scene at his Milwaukee house and everything. And it's just very, this is a lot more into the mind, and I think making of Dahmer, and kind of, we're never really going to understand a guy like that, especially just because we're not wired that way. And even though he explains it to us, it's still not, we still don't really understand it. But I think this is the closest we get to understanding him in the series, because it does really show a lot of his perspective, and he explains it the best he can. But he just doesn't really. Anyway, but yeah, he at the very end of the episode, we see that he has kept the head of his victim in cellophane, wrapped in a box. Hence the title of the episode, The Good Boy Box. And there we have the next installment of Dahmer. So there we go. I'm still going to say what I've been saying. It's a great show, great series, great acting, and all that kind of stuff. This one, episode wise, wasn't my favorite, but it definitely wasn't bad because I did like how they're kind of going in who he is as a human and different things like that. But anyway, I'll be back sometime with my next one, next review, and then obviously at some point it'll be another Dahmer episode, whenever that is. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you next time.